Shalom again. Ever heard the old saying that history repeats itself? Well, it tends to happen. And right now, I can't speak for other countries, but I know in this country, history has been repeating itself. The same way it did in Nazi Germany. See, it took some time for the Nazis to come to power. And they were a nationalist organization. They started off as the brown shirts. Well, then the brown shirts became obsolete at a certain point, too crude. It was more of a blunt instrument than a sharp scalpel. The scalpel is when the SS was created, the Schutzstaffel. But you only had the Nazis, the uniformed members of the army in the SS. There were only so many of them against all of Europe, the countries that they conquered. And they couldn't do it by themselves. They needed help. From who? From the local population, the regular, everyday husband and wife, boy, girl. And how did they end up accomplishing this? By brainwashing people. Brainwashing their own citizens to hate their own citizens. Why? Because they were Jewish. It's a little bit different when you get somebody who is of an older age, like myself, that already has the ability to think for themselves and do critical thinking and to sit back and look at the big picture instead of being there in the moment. Well, that has to do over time when the brain chemistry changes and experience takes place through life, and then maturity takes place. What's the best age to brainwash somebody? When they're a kid. Kids' brains are like sponges. The human brain doesn't fully develop until somebody's in their mid to late 20s. So they're still able to be brainwashed. Multitude of ways. So you get the younger generation all fired up through all of this rhetoric, this speech, propaganda. Using the old magician's trick, the sleight of hand movement. You distract them one direction so they don't see what's going on over here. And for those who don't see what's happening right in front, it's actually a very good technique. I remember seeing these pictures. Actually, one in particular, I don't know exactly when it was taken over in Europe, but it was this Jewish woman. She's running down the street in fear of her life, half naked, busted up, bloody face, and you have all of these young boys, no older than maybe 8 or 9 years old, running around encircling this woman like a pack of rabid animals with sticks, and they were beating her. So you train neighbor to go against neighbor. In that case, because they were Jewish. In our case, in this country, because your neighbor doesn't see the same way that you do, you know, what's morally right, politics-wise. Or in this instance, what's the biggest scapegoat in this country that people openly abuse and talk poorly about? Those who are in the Messiah, Yeshua, or people that are called Christians. Jews have it even worse in most cases. You don't see a whole lot of headlines where churches go and get shot up, although that be it does happen, but you hear a lot more of it with synagogues. But then you have the other narrative. Oh, it's okay to go and riot and destroy your cities. That's okay. But if you don't do it, oh, he's different. There's something wrong with him. It's okay to go out and have promiscuous sex before marriage. Somebody says, no, that's not for me. Oh, he doesn't do that? Something's wrong with him. He's being too legalistic. Somebody needs to take off work so they can observe the religious faith. Nope. You need to stay here. You don't have enough time off. If you leave, you're going to be fired. Or in some cases, you can't even get hired for a job you're discriminated against because you're observing your religious faith. Oh, but you need to, welcome homosexuality and it's mainstream. Are you kidding? It's 2023. You need to get with the times. And people that don't do that are essentially canceled. You have schools that want to sit and fill their libraries with books that are too grotesque for me to even repeat what these books contain. But apparently, we're supposed to allow that. A few years ago, Supreme Court made it legal for same-sex to be married together. But then you have county clerks who are refusing to issue the marriage certificates and get put in jail for it because it's against their faith. Sooner or later, we've actually had street preachers that have been arrested and put in jail for simply reading the gospel at pride events. We have people that are Christian that refused to take any vaccines. When you don't do that, you lose your job. You can't go into a store unless you have proof. You can't go in and buy anything unless you have proof. But it's my faith. You don't care. You need to stop being selfish and do it for society. I don't compromise on my faith. You don't care. You see how history is starting to replay itself? It's either you get on the bandwagon with everybody else in society and do what they consider the normal, or you're the outcast and will be persecuted for it. So you remember how I said history repeats itself? Back in Germany, the Nazis persecuted the Jews. In modern society now, if you're a Christian that holds fast to your faith, keeping the Sabbath, the dietary laws, the feast days, but that doesn't conform to what society is doing, you're the outcast and will be persecuted for it. The only thing that we haven't seen happen yet are the camps and being killed over it. Oh, but that one's coming. With the World Health Organization taking over things now, and they say you need to get a shot and you refuse, well, you're a danger to society. You need to be segregated from society so that you're no longer a danger. Wonder how you would be segregated from society. I don't know. Just an afterthought. But some of you that have eyes to see and ears to hear will understand what I'm saying without me actually having to say it. So with that, Shalom, Aki.